Captain Du-hyun of the Doman Empire stood at his ship's viewing window, staring at the blue planet below. Earth looked peaceful from space, but his hand shook slightly as he read the latest orders from High Command. After 3 months of watching the planet, they had finally decided to make contact. "Are the humans really as dangerous as our studies suggest?" asked his second-in-command, Officer Tae-sung, looking over his shoulder at the report. "We've seen their videos of war. They fight over the smallest things," Du-hyun replied, touching the screen to zoom in on Asia. "But High Command thinks we can handle them. After all, we have spaceships and they don't." The meeting place had been chosen carefully, a flat area outside Seoul, South Korea. The humans had agreed to the meeting after receiving their radio messages. They had seemed friendly enough in their replies. 5 hours later, Du-hyun led his diplomatic team down the ship's ramp. 3 human vehicles waited nearby, their design primitive compared to Doman technology. He noticed how the humans had positioned their vehicles in a triangle pattern. Even at a peace meeting, they thought like soldiers. Major Hanbin watched the aliens through his binoculars from a hidden position 2 kilometers away. His orders were clear: watch and protect the diplomatic team. 20 of Earth's best soldiers lay hidden around the meeting place, all hoping they wouldn't be needed. "They look almost human," Hanbin whispered to his radio, "except for the blue skin and double pupils." The alien captain walked forward, holding up both hands in what their research suggested was a human peace gesture. Hanbin's team had studied the alien radio messages for weeks. The universal translator should work, but everyone felt nervous. "Greetings, people of Earth," Du-hyun said through his translator. "We come seeking friendship and knowledge exchange." The human diplomat stepped forward, smiling. Everything seemed to be going well. Then Officer Tae-sung saw something shine in the distance, just a reflection from Major Hanbin's binoculars. But in his nervousness, he mistook it for a weapon. "Captain, sniper," Ta-sung shouted, pulling out his energy pistol. The humans' hidden security team saw the alien draw a weapon. They had strict orders. Any armed threat to the diplomatic team must be stopped. 20 rifles took aim. "No," Du-hyun shouted, but it was too late. The next few minutes turned into chaos. Tae-sung fired his energy pistol, the blast hitting the ground near the human vehicles. The human security team opened fire. Energy weapons and bullets flew through the air as both sides dove for cover. Major Hanbin watched in horror as the peaceful meeting turned into a battlefield. He grabbed his radio, calling for backup. "First contact has failed. I repeat, first contact has failed." Do-hyun managed to get his team back to their ship, but 2 of his crew members lay dead on the ground. The humans had lost no one. They had been better prepared, better positioned, and faster to react. Back on the Doman Empire's command ship, Admiral Kita received the news with cold anger. "So," he said to his war council, "the humans show their true nature. They react with violence, even to a peaceful meeting." "Sir," Du-hyun tried to explain, "it was our mistake." Officer Tae-sung, "Silence." Kitae's voice boomed through the command room. "I have seen enough. These humans are too dangerous to be left alone. Their warriors are too quick to violence, too ready for battle. They must be conquered for the safety of the galaxy." Do-hyun wanted to argue, but he knew it would do no good. He had seen the skill of the human soldiers, how quickly and efficiently they had responded to a threat. He wanted to warn his leaders that attacking Earth might be a terrible mistake. On Earth, Major Hanbin made his report to the United Earth Defense Council. "They have energy weapons, advanced chips, and technology we can barely understand. But they made amateur mistakes in basic security and threat assessment. They may have better weapons, but we have better warriors." The council members looked at each other with grim faces. They all knew what was coming. Humans had been fighting wars since they first picked up sticks and stones. These aliens might have fancy weapons, but they were about to learn a hard lesson about fighting human ground forces. The first shots of humanity's greatest war had been fired. and the Doman Empire had no idea what they were getting themselves into. 3 weeks after the failed first contact, the Doman Empire's invasion fleet arrived. 500 warships filled Earth's skies, their metal hulls gleaming in the sunlight. Admiral Kita stood on his command ship's bridge, smiling as he watched Earth's small space fleet rise to meet them. "Look at their primitive ships," he said to his officers. "This won't even be a real battle." Earth's space defense fleet had only 50 ships. They were humanity's first attempts at space warfare, built in a hurry after scientists warned that alien life might exist. Major Hanbin watched from Earth's main command center as the human ships moved into position. "Remember your training," he said into his radio. "Even if we lose in space, we never lose on the ground." The battle started quickly. The Doman Empire's ships fired their energy weapons, filling space with bright blue beams. Earth's ships were stronger than the aliens expected, their armor built to survive meteor strikes. But there were just too many alien ships. Lieutenant Jiwoo sat in her underground bunker near Seoul, watching the space battle through military satellites. Her job was to prepare Earth's ground forces for what would come next. On her screens, she saw human ships exploding one after another. "Start moving all civilians to the deep bunkers," she ordered. "Get our ground forces into position. The real fight starts when they land." In space, the battle was almost over. 43 of Earth's 50 ships were destroyed. The aliens had lost only 12 ships. Admiral Kita laughed as he watched another human ship explode. "See," he said to Captain Do-hyun, who stood quietly in the corner. "Your worry about these humans was foolish. They are no match for us." Do-hyun wasn't so sure. He had studied Earth's military history after the failed meeting. "Sir," he said carefully, "winning in space doesn't mean we'll win on the ground. These humans—" "Silence," Kita shouted. "You've been afraid of these primitives since that first meeting. Look how easily we defeated their best ships." On Earth, Major Hanbin was already executing the next part of humanity's plan. "Move all anti-aircraft weapons into the hidden mountain bases," he ordered. "Activate the underground command centers. Switch all important communication to the hardened ground lines." The last human ships retreated, disappearing into Earth's atmosphere. The alien fleet followed, moving into position for the ground invasion. They didn't notice that the retreating human ships were drawing them into carefully planned killing zones. "Get me General Sangwon," Hanbin said to his communication officer. The general's face appeared on his screen a moment later. "Is everything ready?" Sangwon asked. "Yes, sir. The aliens took the bait. They think they've won because they beat our space fleet. They don't realize we expected to lose that battle." The general nodded. "And our ground forces?" "All in position, sir. The urban defense units are hidden. Mountain warfare teams are in place. Guerrilla units are ready. We're prepared to make these aliens regret ever coming to Earth." In his ship, Admiral Kita prepared to send the first wave of ground forces. "Begin landing operations," he ordered. "I want troops on the ground within 2 hours." Captain Do-hyun watched the invasion preparations with growing worry. The humans had retreated too easily. Their remaining ships had flowed in patterns that seemed too organized for a defeated force. Something wasn't right. "Sir," he tried one last time, "I think we should be more careful. The humans are beaten." Kita interrupted. "Their primitive weapons are no match for our technology. Their strongest ships are destroyed. Their ground forces will surrender as soon as they see our power." Lieutenant Jiwoo smiled as she watched the alien ships moving into the atmosphere. They were flying right into the paths of hidden surface-to-air missile sites. The aliens didn't know that humans had been preparing for this moment ever since they first detected the Doman Empire's ships 3 months ago. "Let them think they've won in space," she said to her troops. "They're about to learn that humans never fight harder than when defending their home ground." The real war was about to begin. And the Doman Empire was about to learn why you never, ever underestimate human ground forces. The Doman Empire's landing ships descended through Earth's atmosphere like giant metal birds. Colonel Yonghe watched them from his hidden command post in Seoul's underground metro system. On his screens, he could see 30 alien ships heading toward their chosen landing zone, the wide plains outside the city. "They're coming in just like we expected," he said to his radio. "All units, prepare for Operation Surprise Welcome." In the lead landing ship, the alien commander checked his energy shield one last time. "Remember," he told his troops, "these humans are primitives. Our shields will stop their weak weapons easily." The first ships touched down on the empty plain. Alien soldiers marched down their ramps in perfect order, their energy shields glowing blue around them. They looked impressive, like an unstoppable force. Then the ground exploded. "Fire," Colonel Yonghe ordered. Hidden underground charges detonated beneath the aliens' feet. The explosions threw their neat formations into chaos. Their shields worked well against attacks from the front, but not from below. Captain Sun Mei and her Special Forces team watched from their hiding spots around the landing zone. The aliens were scrambling to regroup, but more surprises waited for them. Phase 2, Sun Mei whispered into her radio. "Begin." Hundreds of hidden artillery pieces opened fire. The aliens learned another hard lesson. Their shields couldn't handle attacks from all directions at once. Shells rained down from the sky, while more explosions erupted from the ground. "Impossible," the alien commander shouted as his troops fell. "Their weapons shouldn't be this strong. Where are they hiding?" In his orbiting ship, Admiral Kita received the shocking news. The first landing force was in chaos. Half their troops were already down, and they hadn't even seen a single human soldier yet. "Send in the heavy assault units," he ordered. "Use the air support." Alien fighter ships roared through the sky, firing at the ground. But they found no targets. The humans had hidden their artillery too well. Meanwhile, Captain Sun Mi's teams began their attacks. Small groups of Special Forces soldiers appeared from hidden tunnels, fired quick shots at the confused aliens, then disappeared again. "Sir," an alien officer reported to his commander, "we can't find their main force. They're everywhere and nowhere." Colonel Yonghe smiled as he watched the aliens' confusion. Decades of preparing for possible invasion had paid off. Seoul's underground tunnels, built for subway trains and civil defense, now served as perfect paths for defenders to appear and vanish at will. Lieutenant Ji Woo coordinated the tunnel fighting teams. "Remember your training," she told them. "Hit and run. Don't stay in one place. Let them waste energy looking for targets that aren't there anymore." The alien commander tried to establish a defensive position. But how do you defend against an enemy you can't see? How do you fight back when attacks come from underground, from the sky, and from hidden positions all around you? "This is impossible," he shouted as another hidden explosion threw his troops into chaos. "They're just humans. They shouldn't be able to do this." Captain Du Hyun watched the disaster unfold from the command ship. He had warned them about underestimating humans, but no one had listened. Now he watched as Earth's defenders demonstrated why you should never fight them on their home ground. "Sir," he said to Admiral Kita, "we need to pull back. Regroup. Think of a new strategy." "No," Kita shouted. "Send in more troops. Send everything." But sending more troops just meant more targets for the humans. Colonel Yonghe's forces had trained for years for this kind of fight. They knew every tunnel, every hidden bunker, every escape route. The aliens' superior technology meant nothing against an enemy they couldn't find. By sunset, the landing zone had become a graveyard of alien ships and soldiers. The Doman Empire's first attempt to land had failed completely, and they still hadn't seen more than glimpses of the human forces that had defeated them. In his underground command post, Colonel Yonghe sent a message to all Earth's defensive positions. "First wave defeated. Prepare for more. Remember, they may rule space, but the ground belongs to us." The aliens were learning their first painful lesson about fighting humans, and it wouldn't be their last. After their failed first landing, the Doman Empire tried a new approach. Instead of landing in open areas, they began dropping troops directly into Earth's cities. Admiral Kita thought the humans would be afraid to fight in their own cities. He was wrong. Sergeant Ta Jin crouched in a dark office building, watching alien troops march down the empty street below. The aliens had taken Seoul's business district, but they didn't understand what they were really walking into. "Look at them," he whispered to his squad. "They're staying in the open, walking in straight lines. They still think this is a parade ground." The aliens had learned to watch for underground attacks, so they scanned the ground with energy detectors. But they didn't look up enough. They didn't check the buildings carefully. They didn't notice the hundreds of human soldiers hidden in the dark windows above them. "All units in position." Ta Jin's radio crackled softly. "Begin Operation City Trap." The first alien patrol disappeared when the road collapsed under them, not from explosives this time, but because humans had weakened the structure of the subway tunnel beneath. The second patrol was cut off when hidden walls suddenly rose from the ground, blocking the street. "What's happening?" the alien commander shouted. "Where are they?" "Everywhere," Ta Jin whispered, though the aliens couldn't hear him. He pressed a button, and water burst from fire hydrants all around the aliens. Their energy weapons sparked and failed in the water. The humans had studied the alien technology carefully. They knew that energy weapons didn't work well when wet. They knew that alien shields couldn't stop simple things like water or dust. The aliens had better weapons, but humans knew how to turn a city itself into a weapon. Captain Sun Mi's Special Forces team moved through the buildings using zip lines they had set up weeks ago. They attacked quickly, then disappeared into hidden doors and secret passages. The aliens fired back, but they only hit empty rooms and empty hallways. "They're ghosts," an alien soldier screamed into his radio. "We can't fight ghosts." In his command ship, Admiral Kita watched in rage as his troops failed again. "How?" he demanded. "How are they beating our best soldiers?" "They're just humans." Captain Do-hyun had an answer, but Kita didn't want to hear it. The humans weren't fighting like the aliens expected. They didn't line up for battle. They didn't try to fight fair. They used every trick, every advantage, every dirty tactic they could think of. Back in the city, Sergeant Ta Jin's squad launched another attack. They dropped smoke grenades that blinded alien sensors. They used simple mirrors to reflect sunlight into alien eyes. They scattered caltrops made of ordinary steel to puncture the aliens' boot armor. "Sir," an alien officer reported, "we're losing more troops. They're not killing us. They're trapping us, disabling us, making us waste our energy and supplies." The humans had turned Seoul into a giant maze. They changed the maze every day, blocking some paths and opening others. The aliens never knew if a road was really a road or a trap waiting to happen. "Remember," Ta Jin told his squad, "we don't need to kill them all. We just need to make them afraid, make them waste their strength, make them understand that every street, every building, every window could hide a dozen different ways to die." The aliens tried to use their ships for support, but the buildings blocked their shots. They tried to scan for humans, but the humans had learned to fool their scanners. They tried to set up bases, but they could never be sure if a building was safe. By the end of the first week of urban fighting, the aliens controlled less than 10% of Seoul. They had lost thousands of troops, not to grand battles, but to endless small attacks, to traps, to tricks, to the simple fact that humans had spent their whole history learning to fight in cities. In his hidden command post, Colonel Yang has sent a new message to Earth's defenders. They thought taking our cities would be easy. Now they learn, when humans defend their homes, every shadow becomes a soldier, every building becomes a fortress, and every street becomes a grave for those who dare to invade. The Doman Empire was learning that technology alone doesn't win wars. Not when you're fighting humans who know every trick in the book and who keep writing new books. Commander Minji sat in a hidden mountain base, watching screens that showed resistance activities from around the world. After failing to take Earth's cities, the Doman Empire had tried to set up bases in remote areas. But humans had been fighting in every type of terrain for thousands of years. Report from the Amazon region, her assistant said. Local forces destroyed another alien supply depot. They never saw our people coming through the jungle. Minji nodded, marking the success on her digital map. All across Earth, humans were fighting back. Not with big armies, but with small groups that struck fast and disappeared faster. In the African savanna, resistance fighters covered their bodies with mud to hide from alien heat sensors. In the Canadian forests, they used the thick trees for cover. In the Australian outback, they appeared from nowhere, struck hard, and vanished into the endless desert. The aliens still don't understand, Minji said to her staff. They think having better weapons means they should win. They don't realize that humans wrote the book on guerrilla warfare. On his command ship, Admiral Kita was getting desperate. How are they doing this? He shouted at his officers. We control the skies. We have the best weapons, but we can't find them to fight them. Captain Do-hyun watched quietly. He had studied Earth's military history, stories of how small groups had defeated bigger armies throughout human history. Now he watched it happening to his own people. Another supply ship destroyed in the Andes Mountains, an officer reported. The humans are using the high altitude against our engines. They know exactly where to hit us. The resistance didn't just fight with guns. They fought with knowledge. Earth's scientists had studied the alien technology and found its weak points. Earth's engineers had created simple but effective ways to disable alien equipment. In Siberia, resistance fighters found that the alien ships couldn't handle extreme cold. In the Middle East, they discovered that desert sand ruined alien machinery. Every environment on Earth became a weapon in human hands. Minji coordinated it all from her mountain base. Remember, she told resistance leaders around the world, we don't need to defeat them in one big battle. We just need to make them waste their resources, make them afraid to land, make them afraid to move. The aliens tried to find the resistance bases, but humans had hidden them too well. Underground bunkers, mountain caves, underwater facilities, places the aliens couldn't scan, couldn't bomb, couldn't reach. Look at this, Minji said, pointing to her map. The aliens control less territory now than they did 2 weeks ago. They're losing ground everywhere. The resistance used every trick they knew. They spread false information that made aliens waste time and supplies checking empty areas. They set up fake bases to draw out alien attacks. They even used old human weapons that the aliens' high-tech sensors couldn't detect. Another victory in the Himalayas, her assistant reported. Our mountain troops used avalanches to bury an alien base. No shots fired. In orbit, Admiral Kita faced a harsh truth. His ground forces were being defeated not by Earth's armies, but by its people. Every human seemed to be a potential soldier. Every piece of land seemed to hide a dozen ways to die. Sir, an officer reported, we lost contact with 3 more bases. The humans, they're not just fighting us. They're teaching each other how to fight us, sharing information about our weaknesses, learning from each successful attack. Minji smiled as she added more victory markers to her map. The aliens had thought humans would be easy to defeat because they often fought each other. But that just meant humans had thousands of years of experience in warfare. Now they were using every lesson they had ever learned. Send word to all resistance cells, she ordered. Keep hitting their supply lines. Keep destroying their equipment. Keep making them afraid to step foot on our planet. The Doman Empire was learning another hard lesson. Humans didn't need to win big battles to win a war. They just needed to make the cost of fighting them too high to bear. Captain Hai-jin stood on a snowy mountain peak, watching an alien ship struggle against the winter storm. The Doman Empire had thought their advanced technology would let them fight anywhere on Earth. They were wrong. "Their ships can handle the vacuum of space," she said to her mountain warfare team, "but they can't handle a simple snowstorm." The alien ship's engines whined as it tried to stay in the air. Ice formed on its wings. Snow blocked its sensors. The aliens had never dealt with anything like Earth's weather before. "All teams in position," her radio crackled. "Operation Avalanche is ready." Down in the valley, an alien ground base sat surrounded by deep snow. The aliens had built high walls and set up energy shields, but they didn't understand the power of nature on Earth. Hai-Jin gave the signal. Her teams fired special sonic charges into the snow above the alien base. The explosions were quiet, but they started something much bigger: an avalanche. The aliens watched in horror as a wall of snow crashed down the mountain. Their shields could stop energy weapons and bullets, but they couldn't stop thousands of tons of snow. The base disappeared under the white wave. "Direct hit," Hai-Jin reported to command. "And we didn't fire a single shot." In his orbiting ship, Admiral Kita received more bad news. "Sir, we've lost 3 more bases to environmental factors. One buried in sand during a desert storm. Another flooded in a monsoon. A third destroyed by mudslides." Captain Du-hyun wasn't surprised. He had warned them about Earth's weather, but no one had listened. "Our ships and equipment were designed for space," he said. "We never thought about rain, snow, dust, or mud." Around the world, humans used their knowledge of local weather to fight the aliens. In tropical areas, they waited for heavy rains that disrupted alien sensors. In desert regions, they used sandstorms as cover for attacks. In cold areas, they let the winter do their fighting for them. Another base lost in South America. An alien officer reported. "The humans didn't attack. The base sank into the mud during heavy rains. Our heavy equipment keeps getting stuck in their soft ground." The aliens tried to adapt. They modified their shields to keep out water and dust. They adjusted their engines for different atmospheres. But Earth had too many different environments, too many types of weather, too many ways to kill the unprepared. Report from the Russian front. Hai-Jin's radio announced. "Alien vehicles are freezing up in the cold. Their metal becomes brittle. Their fuel lines crack. They're losing more equipment to weather than to our attacks." The aliens had never fought on a planet like Earth. They didn't know how to handle mountains that could kill with falling rocks and snow. They didn't understand oceans that could sink their ships with waves and storms. They couldn't cope with jungles that ate their equipment with heat and humidity. "Sir," Du-hyun said to Admiral Kita, "we're fighting the whole planet, not just its people. The humans know their world. They've spent generations learning how to survive here. We haven't." In her mountain base, Hai-Jin planned her next operation. The aliens had retreated from the high ground, but they still tried to maintain bases in the valleys. They still hadn't learned that on Earth, the environment was always your enemy or your friend, and humans knew how to make it their friend. "Look at their base layouts," she told her team. "They build the same way everywhere, whether they're in a desert or on a mountain. They don't adapt. They don't learn. They just keep doing what worked in space." The Doman Empire was facing a hard truth. They weren't just fighting human armies. They were fighting Earth itself. Every rainstorm became an ally of humanity. Every sandstorm became a human weapon. Every winter became a human soldier. "Send word to all mountain units," Hai-Jin ordered. "The winter storms are coming. Let's show the aliens why you don't fight humans in their own environment." The aliens had come ready for a space war. Instead, they were learning that Earth itself was a weapon in human hands, and winter was coming. General Sangwon stood in Earth's main command center, surrounded by screens showing military positions around the world. After months of wearing down the aliens, it was time for humanity's big push. "All command centers report ready," his staff officer said. "Every military force on Earth is in position. We can launch Operation World Strike on your order." The general nodded. The aliens still had their ships in space, But their ground forces were weak now. They had lost too many troops to human tactics, too much equipment to Earth's weather, and too many supplies to resistance fighters. "Send the code," he ordered. "Begin the counterattack." Major Yunho's artillery units moved first. They had spent months studying how alien shields worked. Now they knew exactly how to break them. "Fire pattern Alpha," she ordered. Her guns fired shells filled with water, mud, and sand. The dirty mixture confused alien shields, making them flicker and fail. Then came the real artillery shells, hitting the aliens when they were unprotected. Direct hits on all targets. Her spotters reported. Their shields are down. Across the world, human forces attacked at the same time. They had planned this for weeks, waiting for the perfect moment. The aliens had spread themselves too thin, trying to control too much territory. Russian forces report success. Sang-Won's radio crackled. Chinese units breaking through alien lines. European command confirms major gains. South American forces report alien retreat. In orbit, Admiral Kita watched in shock as his ground forces collapsed everywhere at once. "Impossible," he shouted. "How are they coordinating such a large attack?" Captain Du Hyun knew the answer. The humans had used their guerrilla attacks and resistance fighting to make the aliens focus on small battles. The aliens never noticed the humans were also preparing for one big battle. "Sir," an officer reported to Kita, "we're losing ground everywhere. The humans, they're not fighting like primitives anymore. They're using real military tactics, but better than anything we've seen." Major Yunho's artillery teams kept firing, using different shells for different targets. Water shells for energy weapons, smoke shells for alien sensors, high explosive shells for their vehicles. The humans had learned all the aliens' weaknesses. "Keep firing," she ordered. "Don't let them regroup." Around the world, human forces pushed forward. They had studied alien tactics for months. They knew how the aliens would try to retreat, where they would try to hide, how they would try to fight back. Australian forces report alien base captured. Sang-Won's radio announced. African command confirms breakthrough. North American units advancing rapidly. The aliens tried to use their spaceships for support, but the humans were ready. They had built hidden anti-aircraft weapons everywhere. Every time an alien ship came too close to the ground, it faced dozens of missiles. Another ship down. Yunho's spotters called. "They're pulling back to high orbit." In his command ship, Admiral Kita faced a terrible choice. His ground forces were being destroyed. His ships couldn't help them without getting shot down. Everything the Doman Empire had learned about war was failing against these humans. "Sir," Du Hyun said quietly, "we have to retreat. The humans, they're not just fighting harder than us. They're fighting smarter. They've learned all our weaknesses, but we still don't understand their strengths." General Sang-Won watched the battle reports with satisfaction. The aliens were running everywhere. They had thought humans were primitive because they still fought on the ground. They'd never understood that this made humans the best ground fighters in the galaxy. "Send word to all commands," he ordered. "Push them back to their landing zones. Don't let them regroup. Show them why you never fight humans on the ground." The Doman Empire had started this war thinking they were the teachers. Now they were learning a lesson instead, one written in defeat after defeat. The lesson was simple. Never fight humans on their own ground. You will lose. Admiral Kita's command room was in chaos. Officers shouted reports of more defeats while emergency lights flashed everywhere. The mighty Doman Empire was falling apart. Another ground force surrendered. An officer shouted. "They say they won't fight anymore. They're afraid of the humans." Keita slammed his fist on his command table. His invasion force, once so proud and strong, was breaking. His soldiers were giving up rather than face human fighters again. "Cowards," he shouted. "They're just humans. Primitive humans." Captain Du Hyun watched as more bad news arrived. The humans had pushed alien forces back to their landing zones. Now they were destroying those too, one by one. "Sir," an officer reported, "the humans are offering terms. They say we can take our ships and leave. They'll let us go if we promise never to return." Kita's face turned dark blue with rage. "Never. We are the Doman Empire. We don't surrender to primitives." But his officers had seen enough. Many of them had lost friends to human attacks. They had watched their best weapons fail against simple human tricks. They had seen their soldiers break under the constant pressure of fighting humans. "Sir," his second-in-command said, "the troops won't fight anymore. They've seen too much. Every time we fight the humans on the ground, we lose." On Earth, Colonel Yang led his forces in attacking another alien landing zone. The aliens fought back, but their hearts weren't in it anymore. They had lost their confidence, their belief in their own superiority. "Look at them," Yang has said to his radio. "They're not even trying to hold position anymore. They just want to run." Major Han Bin's forces had surrounded another alien base. "Surrender," he broadcast to them. "You've fought well, but this war is over. Go home with honor while you can." Inside the base, alien soldiers looked at each other. They had come to Earth believing they were invincible. Now they knew better. One by one, they laid down their weapons. "Another base surrenders," Han Bin reported to command. "They're giving up everywhere now." In orbit, Kita's officers had finally had enough. Admiral Du Hyun said firmly, "We must accept their terms. If we don't, we'll lose everything. The troops won't fight anymore. They've learned to fear humans too much." "Fear, fear," Kita shouted. "We are the ones who should be feared." "No, sir," Du Hyun replied quietly. "The humans have taught us what real fear is. They've shown us that superior technology means nothing against superior fighting spirit and skill." More officers joined Du Hyun. They had all seen enough. Their mighty empire had been beaten not by a superior force, but by humans who simply refused to give up, who turned everything into a weapon, who fought harder than anyone they had ever seen. "The vote is done," Du Hyun announced. "The War Council has decided. We're accepting the humans' terms." Keitai reached for his weapon, but two officers grabbed his arms. "You're relieved of command," they said. "This war is over." On Earth, General Sangwon received the aliens' message of surrender. Around him, his staff cheered, but he stayed quiet. He knew what this victory had cost in lives and effort. "Send word to all commands," he ordered. "The aliens have agreed to leave. Let them go. They've learned their lesson." Captain Du Hyun, now in command of the retreat, sent his first order to all remaining forces. "Begin evacuation. We leave Earth to its rightful defenders. And we take with us a warning for the galaxy. Never fight humans on the ground. The cost is too high." As alien ships lifted off from Earth for the last time, Colonel Yang watched from his command post. "They came here thinking they were superior," he said to his troops. "They left knowing that humans are the best ground fighters in the galaxy. Let's hope others learn from their mistake." The Doman Empire had learned its lesson. Throughout the galaxy, their defeat would become a warning. Earth might not rule space, but on the ground, humans were unbeatable. 1 month after the Doman Empire's retreat, Earth's military leaders met in a rebuilt conference room in Seoul. The same city where the war had started now hosted the victory meeting. General Sangwon stood at the front of the room, looking at the faces of those who had helped win the war. Commander Minji from the Resistance Forces, Colonel Yong-ah from Urban Defense, Captain Sunmei from Special Forces, Major Yunho from Artillery. Each had played a crucial part in victory. "The last alien ship left our solar system yesterday," he announced. "Earth is free. But we learned many lessons from this war." On a screen behind him, images showed the technology humans had gained from the aliens. Captured ships, weapons, and equipment had already taught Earth's scientists many secrets. "We now have some of their technology," Sangwon continued. "But they learned more from us than we learned from them. They learned why you never fight humans on the ground. In deep space, Captain Du Hyun, now Admiral after Kita's removal, made his report to the Doman Empire's leaders. The defeat had changed their empire forever. We lost because we were proud, he told them. We thought better weapons meant certain victory. We forgot that weapons don't win wars. Soldiers do, and human soldiers are the best we've ever seen. Back on Earth, Commander Minji showed the council how humans had already improved the alien technology. We're making their weapons work better than they did, she said. We're combining their science with our experience. We're becoming stronger. But more importantly, Colonel Yongha added, we proved something to the galaxy. We proved that humans are the best ground fighters anywhere. We proved that Earth itself is our strongest weapon. In the Doman Empire's capital, Du Hyun's warning spread quickly through the galaxy. Other alien races listened carefully to the story of how one primitive world had defeated the mighty empire. The humans have a saying, Du Hyun told other alien leaders. They say the more things change, the more they stay the same. They meant that even with all our advanced technology, war still comes down to the soldier on the ground, and no one fights better on the ground than humans. On Earth, Major Yunho presented the new defense plans. Humans had learned from the war too. They were building better defenses, hiding weapons in every mountain, preparing for any future invasion. We're ready now, she said. If anyone else tries to invade Earth, they'll fail even faster than the Doman Empire did. We know our strength now. Captain Sunmi's special forces had already started training with the new alien technology. They combined human tactics with alien weapons, making something better than either side had before. We're not just stronger, she told the council. We're smarter. We know more about fighting in space now. But we also know that our real strength is still down here on the ground. The war had changed Earth in many ways. Humans from different countries had fought together, shared tactics, helped each other survive. Old enemies had become friends against a common threat. Look at us now, General Sangwon said, gesturing to the diverse group in the room. We're more united than ever. We're stronger than ever. And the galaxy knows it. In space, the Doman Empire's defeat became a famous story. Other alien races spoke in whispers about the humans who had humbled the mighty empire. They told stories about Earth's resistance fighters, about cities that fought back, about weather that killed. Remember the lesson, Du Hyun would tell anyone who would listen. You can fight humans in space if you want. You might even win there. But never, ever fight them on the ground. That's their world, their rules, their strength. On Earth, life returned to normal. But humans knew they weren't alone in the universe anymore. They knew that other aliens might come someday, might try to test Earth's strength again. Let them come, General Sangwon told the council as the meeting ended. We'll teach them the same lesson we taught the Doman Empire. Earth is our home. The ground is our strength. And humans never, ever give up. The war was over, but its lesson would echo through the galaxy forever. Never fight humans on the ground. You will lose.